Hey everybody, welcome to the March Demand Gen Jam session. I'm sure you're noticing that there's a few things looking a little bit different. That's because we've switched over from Zoom to Riverside FM for a lot of reasons that we'll get into a little bit later on. But super excited for everybody to be here today. I'm really excited for this show, especially with our special guest that I will introduce here shortly. So let's go ahead and jump in. One thing that you'll notice is because we're not on Zoom anymore, we're not going to be able to see your wonderful faces, but we do encourage you guys to chat with us as we go through the process. We can see those for sure. And hopefully there's folks watching from LinkedIn as well. If I did all the little magical stuff I needed to do in the back end, you guys on LinkedIn are able to see this as well. I certainly hope that that's the case. But let's go ahead and get started. We got a big show ahead in store for us today. Let me quickly introduce our co-host, Ryan Miller. You want to say hi, Ryan?
Hey guys, super stoked to be here today. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys know Lauren Glover. Lauren's our moderator. She's going to be managing chat and making sure we keep the conversation going there. Say hi, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Well, not see you this time around, but good to have you all here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let me roll out the red carpet for our special guest and also my former business partner who has been doing video marketing for over 25 years and a dear friend of mine and also our go-to for all things video. Chris, I can't believe it's been 3 years up to this point to get you on the show, but super excited to have you, buddy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. It's exciting to have most of the triumvirate here, and we got Lauren. So thanks for having me. And I hope we don't tell too many old stories and bore your audience. We can focus on video.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So just a couple things. Paul mentioned a little bit, but if you're going to look around, see some new things, you may have seen a new registration experience, login experience. So this is Riverside, which is a technology platform that allows us to do a lot more with these kind of videos. So stay tuned for the journey as you kind of see some difference in how we edit the videos and share them with you guys kind of throughout that. So also, if you're exploring this kind of journey too, you can learn from us, right? We're going to be able to play with that. The other part of it is I'm going to share my screen here for a sec. And again, I'll just bear with us a little as we kind of going through all the motions, but let's see if this works. So very briefly, you probably also noticed the name change of this particular event. So forever, I don't know, is this 4 years, Paul?
This is season 4, yeah.
4. So it was the Demand Gen Jam show, right? And you've seen that, known that, heard about it. But ultimately, we're changing some things around. Also, for those of you who may not have been through our journey, we're going through a rebrand. So if you kind of went to our website earlier and maybe seen something different, this is our direction. And one of the things we're super excited to announce is this is a B2B growth network where B2B revenue leaders grow. And there's really 4 big channels that you guys can tap into. So this is a big step forward from where we've been. But ultimately, we have the Growth Show, which you're on today. We have B2B Connect, which are physical live events in different areas around the country. Right now, primarily Dallas and Denver, but we also will have happy hours and then some marquee educational events. So stay alert for those things because there's more and more coming. Another program is B2B Outdoors. We take revenue leaders from the B2B side, and we go do stuff. We might go fly fishing. We might learn how to apply those techniques. We might do some wild adventures together, but ultimately bonding over the growth of being able to expand your experiences and your knowledge. And then the B2B Growth Library. So we have an expansive library of content, as those of you who've been following along know. We're getting ready to retool how you can even access that and what you can do.
Yeah, awesome. One thing, Ryan, as soon as he came on board, almost 2 years ago now, he was like, we've got to change the name of the Demand Gen Jam session. Nobody can say that like 10 times fast at all.
Yeah.
And I pushed back a lot, but finally he won me over. And honestly, when you look at everything that we've got available to help B2B marketers learn and grow in their careers, really the B2B Growth Network and all those things you just shared, Ryan, it's just going to be awesome. So super excited about that. Can't wait to roll out our resource library on our new website. When's that website coming out, Ryan?
Sometime in the next either 2 days or 6 years. We'll see how it goes.
2 days or 6 years? Yeah, exactly. So, hey, Lauren, do you want to give everybody just a quick rundown of how they can interact with us during today's episode?
Yes, absolutely. So over on the right for most of you, I believe there's going to be a bar that says people and a few other things. You'll want to click on chat, and that is where you'll be able to interact and chat with us. And so that's going to be the main means of communication. And we're still getting used to it a little bit, so please bear with us. But we're excited to interact with you guys today.
Awesome. And hopefully in the future, I'm trying to chat and talk at the same time. I can't do that. Hopefully in the future, we'll be able to have you guys join us too live. We're just, we're taking baby steps. So that's what we're all about. And then Lauren, we do have an agenda. Can you share that if you haven't already in the chat? You guys should have gotten it via email. You can follow along there. We're not going to share screens a ton today. I am going to share my screen real quick. And then, this is a episode all about video marketing. So I think we probably should show you guys some videos at some point, and we'll do that. And so grab the agenda if you haven't already, or just feel free to follow along as we go through the material. The first thing I wanted to just share with you is we've got a couple of great new resources, and I'm just going to share those super fast. You can click on them right there in the, where'd the other one go? Well, I had both of them ready to go. I must have closed out the link. I'm going to show you this one resource real quick. All kinds of fun stuff when you're doing something brand new. So we have this brand new resource that you can grab off of at the bottom of the agenda. This is linked out. But this is an awesome resource our team put together called the Pipeline Accelerator Playbook. You guys have access to it right now. And it basically walks you through a 7-step process to do hyper-personalized segmented emails, because those are the kinds of emails that are really working in today's world. If you followed our last couple of jam sessions, you know what I'm talking about, because we've been focused 100% on email marketing. And so we kind of coalesced all of our learnings from those 2 episodes, and then just our learnings from working with over 25 clients, and compressed this into this great resource. We also have, I'll just share this on the agenda since I'm sharing screens. If you click on this link right here, there are 25 use cases on really smart ways to do B2B video marketing across all the different stages of the funnel. And certainly we're going to talk about some of that today. We're not going to talk about all 25. And so we wanted to bring that together as a handy little resource for you guys as well. And so with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into our conversation today. And if you're following along on the agenda, the very first thing we wanted to talk about is just really, why has video become a must-have for B2B today? I mean, video's been around for a long time. But why is it so important today? Chris, your thoughts on that?
Well, it's just because you've said it for a long time, Paul. People would pretty much rather watch the internet than read it. It's a lean back experience. It's what people, they're now being trained to get the high level overview of whatever subject they're clicking play on in the first 15 to 20 seconds, and, see if this content is for them, whether it's educating themselves on a product or a service they're considering to buy. It's the first thing people look at. They want to be told about your service and your company versus reading about it.
Yeah. Think about, most of us are after the path of least resistance, right? And video gives that up. Just like you said, Chris, it allows you to tap in. But the other thing that's why it's becoming more and more critical is just socials, right? So we're consuming a lot of time. I read a stat, I think I've shared it in other episodes here, but the average person scrolls the equivalent of the height of the Empire or the Statue of Liberty, right? So just,
oh my gosh,
just think about that, right? Just imagine the height of the Statue of Liberty. That's how much we scroll every single day. So being able to just consume things, but also see in a really fun and, kind of different way, some things that might, help you with your job, whatever, might, encourage new solutions, and also help connect with the brand and connect with your audience.
Hey, Ryan, while you're talking, I totally blew past your chat discussion, man. Sorry about that. You want to tee up the chat discussion?
I think I got so wadded up in the buttons. Oh yeah. So guys, in the chat, we would love to hear from you. Is video part of your strategy today? Yes or no, or why? Right? We'd love to.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Who's using it? Why? Who's not? And again, be honest with us. It's okay. We'd love to just see where you're at.
Yeah, and Chris, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, that was important. I'm curious to see what the answers in that question of the day are. I think it's because we walk through this world, those of us that are gifted and blessed with sight, right? 90% of the information we use to navigate the world is pictures. We're walking through a big giant movie every day. And so I think video is just the next best thing. There's a reason we're spending time and effort on Zoom so people can see us, connect with us at a different level. It's even another level above voice. So I think it's just human nature that we're playing into more than anything. And the statistics really, marketing statistics, really bear out the fact that it outperforms any other content type.
Yeah, a couple of things that just jump out to me too are, like YouTube is now the number one channel on television. Like it's outperforms all the major networks, right? 70% of the internet traffic out there is video-based internet. And so certainly the stats are showing that people would rather watch the internet than read the internet. And that's something, like you said, Chris, we've been saying for a long time, but really it's starting to play itself out.
The last thing I'll add too is just the majority of B2B brands don't have the best websites. They don't have the best user journey. They're really not thinking through how people consume their stuff. So you can kind of circumvent some of that by adding video, right? Just making it easy to get what I need. And in other episodes, we've also talked about AI-enabled sites. So this is starting to be a theme, guys. Like, how do we make it even easier for people to learn what they want to get the information and move on?
Yeah, that's a great point, Ryan. It also reminds me, a stat we share all the time on the show, and that is that B2B buyers are pushing off talking to your sales reps until the very end. In fact, Gartner's stat is that they're 80% through that buyer journey before they reach out to sales. And so if they're not talking to your sales rep, where are they going to get that good sales pitch or that information that they need to learn about your business and the problems that you solve? Video is a great way to do that. It's almost like your 24/7 asynchronous sales guy, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Any other reasons why, before we move on to the next topic, why B2B now, or why video now rather?
It boosts conversion rates up to 80% versus just text alone. So if you're trying to push people into your funnel, 80% better chance of doing it with a video.
I'd say it
also on social media. Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, I'd say it also just gives your brand a bit more personality, and you can actually feel like they're people. Paul, you say this all the time. People do business with people, not companies. And when you start adding video and see faces or have like stories that you're telling, that just adds the humanistic aspect to your company.
Yeah. And Chris, to piggyback off of what you said, it also helps close business. It's also great in social media. Like the engagement we get when we post video on our social channels versus our text or static image posts just goes through the roof. And that's just regular organic posts, and even advertising like social ads. We get really great engagement with our ads as well. So all really good reasons to be thinking about B2B. And it looks like as I'm scrolling through the chat, some of you guys have gotten started. Some of you guys are thinking about how to do it. I see Sonia is saying she uses testimonials, and Bethany's saying she wants to learn more. So that's all great. So we got a good show in store for you, and so excited to dig in a little bit more. Let's move on to the next question, which is all about, how do we use video for the different stages of the journey? So we've talked about, video is important. We need to do it for all the reasons that you guys shared. But, we're very full funnel. If you attend our episode, our B2B Growth Show, you'll hear us talk about full funnel all the time, and the buyer journey, and being buyer enabled, and making sure that we're delivering really great information to the buyers at the different stages of their journey. Where does video fit in? Let's just take it one stage at a time. And, the top of the funnel, or awareness, or what we call activate your audience here at Vindy. How do we use video to do that?
Chris, you got to kick us off.
Well, I'm happy to. It really belongs in every part of the funnel. From your initial impression, however that happens, whether that's in social or whether that's on a website, you want to let people know you speak their language. And as a marketer, you have to figure out where it maps, right? And so what a lot of clients that we find do is map the higher production value things like the who we are video, the brand story, the corporate film, if you will. They mark that and put those higher production value tools at the top of the funnel and make those investments. And then as you get down the funnel, you don't need a huge production value to explain an explainer video on how your software works or how your service works, right? So you can use different tools, but still use the medium of video to move people down the funnel and ultimately get them to convert.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, how important is a brand story or having like a company commercial? And what do you see as the right things to go in something like that?
I mean, it's like a fingerprint. Every business is different. So we kind of approach that brand story with who the company is and, start from there and what are they trying to say. But it varies. Some are very B-roll intensive and we can use a narrator to tell the story. Sometimes we use the founder or the CEO if they're very, forward in terms of their brand. And a lot of times we tell that story through customer testimonials. Like, what better way to tell your company's story than the people that you're selling your service or product to? So it really is customized. There's no better way, but you really need one. Even if it's just a basic, here's who we are, here's what we stand for. You really need to have a video that tells people who you are in 2 minutes or less.
I was going to say that top of funnel portion of it is where I believe, video, to your point, Chris, is where the larger investment is, time and thinking, because you're casting a wider net, still within your ICP range and still doing that. But the options that we have now to deliver video are unbelievable, right? I mean, just take a low-hanging fruit example of YouTube, right? I don't think you guys need to know all the stats about how big that thing is, but it continues to gain momentum. But even just loading up, maybe the company overview video and running some ads behind that to your target audience, the CPM on that is in the pennies, right? To be able to do that. And then the other big one that's exploding right now is all the CTV stuff. So being able to, push it through platforms like Mountain, for example, that can disseminate it to actual channels that are on your big screens in your living room, right? It's interesting how we're kind of going backwards a little bit, as far as advertising goes, but that's a huge platforms to be able to do that and cast that out. And then that's going to start pulling you down. You need to start thinking about the next step, right, Paul? So what happens after you've educated and made, the brand aware or the people aware of your brand? So Paul, what do we do next in that kind of middle and funnel section?
Yeah, when you think about the middle of the funnel, let me back up just a couple of steps, because Ryan, you nailed CTV. The thing that's kept B2B from doing any kind of advertising like on television has always been targeting, right? It's, unless you're like advertising on the golf channel, it's really hard to reach an audience that matters, right? Because our audiences are so tiny. But in today's world, through Mountain, as you mentioned, or through even LinkedIn, you can run CTV ads. The targeting is so precise, it all of a sudden makes it worth it. And so you can go, build a commercial using a company like Chris's company, and then easily target that out there on channels like YouTube or other places as well. Hey, Chris, you shared a story yesterday as we were getting ready for this, just about one of your customers and how they're able to outperform on YouTube on television versus the just going and buying, advertising space on like a network.
Yeah, it's not got a direct corollary to B2B because he's an attorney in that market, but he is in a very competitive market. That category is extremely competitive. Market number 106, if you are familiar with Nielsen rankings and DMAs. So it's a small market. Nine other attorneys are advertising on those 3 TV stations, and he has to be there. So he makes an investment that's pretty significant to be on the main number 1 station in that market on the 10 o'clock news. But we took a portion of that budget and took those commercials and took some more that were just more informational and educational. And we built a strategy that put those on YouTube TV, which YouTube screens. So you can buy that ad unit on Google to just deliver that unit to people watching the big screen, whether it's on YouTube TV, the service, or YouTube in their home through a connected device. And we were able to reach 4 times the amount of audience on YouTube every month than we were in that one little channel at 10 p.m. So for B2B marketers, these consumer platforms targeting is getting good as well. And so if you build the campaign properly, you can make that same kind of impact and hit the big screen. But, as we all know, we live on this all day too. So I wouldn't, for a B2B marketer, I wouldn't discount, delivering those same ads. But it's starting to get to a point, Paul, where you're blurring the line. We are at home, cut the cable, and have subscribed to YouTube TV, and we love it. And it's interesting because we're starting to get local ads, and the local ads are done at a very high level. And I'm getting B2B pitches on service businesses. I'm getting consumer pitches, and you'd never get that in the old days of the television model.
Yeah. And you know what? B2B always follows B2C. So that's a very appropriate example. I mean, the key is you're reaching more people with a very targeted ad than you could through regular television. And so, that's what we do, top of the funnel. We do all those things we just talked about to get them into the middle of the funnel. Ryan, to your question, it's really all about, in my mind, educational content, right? Once we know that they know that we exist and they know the problem that we solve, we want to start establishing authorities, showing them that that we are qualified to help them solve their problem, that we have a point of view on what's broken in their business and how to fix it. And I think we can use video as a great way to tell that story. I mean, that's one of the things we do, even at Vindy Digital. We focus very heavily in the middle of the funnel with events just like this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. One of the things we'll get into it too, especially in the bottom of the funnel. But if you guys are asking about in your heads, maybe you're kind of thinking through this, but is attribution and how do you connect the dots and everything? One of the most simple ways to do this is in your forms or wherever you're capturing, conversions. You just make sure that you have like the "how did you hear about us" part. It's very simple. And sometimes we advocate actually either way. You could do it open-ended or you could have something structured. But it's actually really interesting to see. You'll get people self-reporting to say, "Oh yeah, I saw it. Or I saw something on YouTube or whatever." It's funny, Paul. Just the other day, we had a lead come in and they'd cited YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, how about you? Anything middle of the funnel that really you see as working well?
I think just being in the game. We work with a lot of clients, and we're going to talk about a client that wasn't in the game for 33 years. It was a family-owned business, and they were struggling. It was a B2B printing company, and they had existed for 33 years on word of mouth and relationship marketing up until that point. And last year, they hit an inflection point. The old ways weren't working for them, and so they basically said, we need to do something. And we worked with another agency to put a strategy together that was very content heavy because the story was a great one. And so we took that company's story, which was kind of a family legacy story, and we explained why that mattered to their clients. And it was a very compelling and very quick turnaround. They went from going down to 2 or 3 shifts a week to now doing double shifts 5 to 6 days a week in a very short amount of time, less than 9 months. So that's, results may vary. That's not a typical result and all of those things, but video connected with that audience in a way that we had, we were able to see, once we implemented it, within weeks, we started seeing the needle move. And coincidentally, that CEO, that founder, the founder's son, he was named by the industry trade organization CEO of the year that same year. And we had just done a whole video on his family legacy and all that. So it was just, I can't say that was the reason, but after 30 plus years in the business, he was getting recognition from the industry as well as his customer base.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to show that video a little bit later on. But that's just the power of telling a story in a video way and getting it out there to your audience. Ryan, how about you? What are some middle of the funnel things we could be doing?
Yeah, I love the education approach. The other thing, this is a great opportunity to invite people to opt into deeper education. This is an opportunity, like for all of you who are on our show today, opt in so that if you find a show that's of interest to you, you can come and learn more. So different ways to really do a cross educational thing, pull people deeper in. If they're not interested, that's great. They can keep kind of learning in the top of the funnel. But if they're starting to see the value of whatever your company offers and the problem you solve, bring them in deeper. Take care of them through deeper education and more intimate experiences like this.
Yeah. And I would say that this is definitely an example of something we would do middle of the funnel because we're educating. We're serializing it. That's really important. That's a decision we made 3 years ago that we wanted a serialized event, something that you guys could show up to once a month. And we love doing these live events. But a huge part of middle of the funnel from a video perspective is social media. I think it's a great place when you just think about, Ryan, I'd never heard that stat before, but us scrolling the Empire State Building every single day, what's the thing that's going to stop the scroll? And Lauren, you touched on this a little bit. It's like, hey, it's our personality, it's our faces, it's moving. Video's fantastic for all those things, but we've got to remember it's about serving our buyer, not serving us. So it's not braggadocious stuff, but it's really, how are we solving problems? How can we help you think about things differently? That's the kind of content that really is going to work well. So think use cases, even testimonials or case studies, all those things are great things that we can do middle of the funnel. Lauren, anything you want to add? I know we covered a bunch there.
No, you're good. I was just thinking that, in our case, we often use video as a means to identify a learning area that somebody is interested in and then provide them with more information along that same learning area at the middle of funnel. So you could also do that vice versa. If they've downloaded an asset that is in a specific learning area, you can provide them with video and that topic after the fact.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And Ryan, you mentioned earlier, we talked about AI-enabled websites. I think that we covered that last month, and really excited to have the Nauvoo CEO on the show here in a couple of months, who is the company behind the AI enablement on our website. If you haven't seen it, go check it out at vindydigital.com. But one of the things that we're seeing is, you can interact with our website now, just like you would ChatGPT. And that's telling us we're learning because we can see in the back end all the different questions and things that people are asking our website. And it's helping us find content gaps, like things that we don't have great information on our website for. And that becomes great information that we could use to build videos around middle of the funnel. So all different kinds of cool ways that we can leverage video in the middle. But ultimately, our goal isn't to keep folks in the middle of the funnel, right? We want to win business. And we know that we're in the B2B business, right? So sales cycles are long, sales by committee. They're going to come to our website multiple times. They're going to interact with us multiple times. We've got to stay top of mind with those folks. How can we leverage video in that bottom of the funnel world to stay top of mind? Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are between 82 and 88%, depending on which research study and from which year, the last 2 years. But if you're using pages on your website to move people through those stages and you want them to stay longer and have more brand recall, you've got to use video. It's between 82 and 88% more time will be spent on those pages if you're using video. The brand recall is up to 70 to 80%, depending on which research firm you listen to. So if you are selling a product where you've got peers that, you want to separate yourself from, and you want them to remember who you are, you need to have video on all those different stages, all those different pages, even if it's simple. Just clean, professional explainer videos and educational videos are enough, as long as they're all on brand and have the same tone as your bigger productions in your top of funnel marketing. It's just something that you kind of have to architect through the whole funnel.
Right. So Chris, what is a good length of our video that would go on your services page or something like that outlines, hey, this is how we do this particular service or how we can help you here?
We think the further up the funnel, the shorter. So if you've got a page that's getting people from the top of funnel into the middle, that might be a 2 minute or less. High level, this is what it does. But we find clients that are in the buying process where they're evaluating other vendors and other partners. They'll spend as much time as they need to learn as much as they want. So we try to do you've heard of good, better, best. We kind of have a short, longer, longest approach. So we can take the same approach, like the same time to get all the information a buyer would need, whether that's an engineer in a software environment or a product expert or subject matter expert in another business or service. Shoot the long form and then cut it up into pieces that fit the different parts of the funnel. So you get longer content as you go. And it feeds the nature of people's, trying to qualify you as a partner. And does your product meet our needs?
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, this is ultimately where you're proving it, right? So you've made them aware with your awesome video at the top of the funnel. You've proven that you're knowledgeable and can support them with your educational journey. And now you need to prove it. You need to prove that you can solve their problem, that you can remind them that you're aware of their problem, that you understand what they're going through, and you prove that through, again, those testimonials. Video case studies are awesome. I mean, Chris, you got a million ideas about how to do all those things, from high production to just basic, stuff that tells that story so that people can have that experience in that multimodal environment, right? Maybe you're on the contact us page, or, you're getting kind of ready, like, oh, I really want to talk to these guys, but man, I just, right? Which is what we're all dealing with as B2B brands right now. Give them that extra oomph over it. And if it's okay, I just want to do a quick question that for us to play with too, because I think it affects this. So Michelle, thank you for your question, but she says, does effective video strategy honestly require paid ad space, or is this well-placed organic enough? How much do you need to put your money where your mouth is? For those of us increasing, do more with less situations. I think this is appropriate because when you get into all of these funnels, there's a paid and organic strategy for all of it. But kind of leaning back down into the paid or the bottom of the funnel, this is where you guys can kind of debate this too a little bit, but oftentimes this is where you really want to make sure that message is clear, easy to find, and can kind of make sure that it addresses exactly what they are. But here's my take on it. You won't do very well just with organic alone. The reality is the space, no matter what industry you are, and we work with some really niche industries and companies, there's always competition. But you also have to remember, you're not just competing with direct competitors. You're competing with time and attention. So the paid approach allows you to cut through a lot of that, serve it to the exact people that you want, and ultimately have a better impact for your investment on video. But organic is important too, because you want to make sure it's there. So organic would be an instance of putting it on your website, for example, or just having it on YouTube. Maybe you're not putting ad dollars behind it, but we absolutely go after a blend of paid and organic.
If I had a limited budget, I would think about running video thought leadership ads top of the funnel. Those work really, really well. Thought leader ads are an ad platform or an ad format on LinkedIn. We use it all the time. We take 2-minute video clips or less that drive home a key point or challenge a norm or talk about a problem. And then we, to Ryan, your point, we boost that to our ICP. So we guarantee that the folks that we're trying to reach are going to get that message. And then we let that engagement kind of drive them down funnel. So if I had a limited budget, that's probably what I would do. But to your point, Ryan, today's world is very much a pay to play. You mentioned the leads that we've gotten from YouTube recently. Those were organic. That was just replays of these jam sessions up on our YouTube channel, people seeing them and then reaching out to us. So you certainly don't have to pay to play. As we're talking about bottom of the funnel too, a couple of things came to mind. I can't believe more people haven't done like a video demo. Like, I would love to have a video demo, especially if I'm a SaaS company. Everybody wants a demo, and you put all these barriers in front of your audience, your customer. You make them fill out a form, and then you make them talk to an SDR, and then if the SDR qualifies them, then they can go talk to an AE. Well, that's just all kinds of friction. What if you had the best sales rep in your company basically walk through the perfect demo and videotape that and put it on your website? You would make all of your customers happy. And I think you'd see all kinds of leads and sales, come from that. Another great bottom of the funnel tactic is user-generated testimonials. One of the reasons why we switched over to Riverside, which is the technology that we're using right now, is we've got this really great feature where we can send a link to our customers, and with prompts where it asks them various questions like, Why did you choose Vendy Digital? What was the problem you're trying to solve? What are the results that you've seen since you've been working with them? And they can just answer those questions with their camera on. And then we can take all that user-generated content and, with people's help like Chris's, and really turn that into an awesome video that we can then go share out in social media or on our websites. So lots of great ways to do that. Just very coincidentally, a buddy of mine on LinkedIn, and I'll share this link to his post in our email that we send out to you guys with the replay. He was just talking about, he did a post today on how effective video DMing has been for him on LinkedIn. And so far, he actually provided a case study. He sent out, I think he said, 169 video DMs in the month of March, or maybe over the last 30 days, I can't remember. And he's already gotten 5 clients because it's the engagement of video over just a text DM. I thought that was pretty cool. I told him I'd share that today. So hopefully that's another way that you can be thinking about getting your sales reps involved in sending out video. Ryan, one thing I love that you do, whenever you send out a proposal to one of our clients, you do a little Loom video. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in many cases, so if you, those of you who are really, obviously the marketing and sales part, but leaning heavier into sales, sometimes it's really hard to get who you're working with or your prospect, back on the phone, for that 30-minute walkthrough. So there's cases I leave it as a last reserve kind of thing. If I just can't get a hold, but I know everybody's excited and we're just all moving and maybe they're at trade shows, blah, blah, blah. But I'll literally do the entire presentation in a Loom video, walk them through everything I would on a live call. And then I will send it. And of course, we have some tracking capabilities on that. So I just make sure they got it, make sure they opened it. I'm not a hard press kind of salesperson, but that allows them to. They can slice it, dice it, they can speed it up, they can slow it down, they can get through parts of it, they can come back to it, they can share it. But it gives them that context into how I'm thinking about a solution for them. So it really bridges the gap between everybody's crazy schedules and trying to get business done.
Yeah, that's a great example. I mean, buying by committee today, right? You're not waiting on your coach, your internal coach, to go pitch the rest of the committee on why this works. You're letting you create something that's asynchronous that can then be shared with that buying committee. That always works better. I always got nervous when I was in a sales situation and my champion wanted to go pitch our services to the rest of the committee, and I'm like, oh my God, this isn't going to work. So video is a great way to accomplish that. Any other bottom of the funnel, stay top of mind tactics that we can use video that we haven't talked about?
Yes, just Paul, I would just say training is marketing, education is marketing. If you can take resources that you may think of only as training or a walkthrough or even an orientation, your prospects will consume that content as if it were a marketing, because you're marketing the value, you're marketing your features, your benefits while you're walking people through it. And we did some work with McAfee software a while back, and we did the consumer-facing software tours and things like that. But some of the most effective on their B2B side was just getting one of their back-end engineer specialists to show how they troubleshooted problems for clients with their endpoint solutions. And that stuff converted. They'd have 90 views, but they'd get 3 or 4 enterprise level prospects through those videos. And those were 7-figure deals. So it's you're not trying to become Joe Rogan. You're not looking for 1 million views on your videos. You're just wanting to get content about your product. And if it's the right 200 people that are in the middle of your funnel and you can move them down to convert, then mission accomplished. So I would just really be thinking that your training and educational content really is marketing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, hey, let's move on. The next item on our agenda, we've kind of touched all around this, but it's like, when do we do high production versus lo-fi? And I think there's a place for both, right? And so, Chris, you kind of touched on one a little bit earlier, which is that brand story and kind of the upper funnel stuff. What other times does it really make sense to do, high production value, field shoots, all that stuff that's going to really look polished and tell a good story?
Yeah. First would be If you haven't captured high quality interviews of your best customers, that would be a category that we see a lot. A lot of our clients will turn that into, bringing the customers in for a summit or something like that, and we'll tape them all there, or we'll go out to their client locations and do a little B-roll and the interviews to do little case studies. The other big sort of what I would call a tent pole type of video event where you'd spend some more money than normal or mid-funnel is new product launches. So if you've got a new product where you're trying to, you've got one or two of these cycles every year or one or two new product launches every 2 to 3 years, you really want to break through the noise and it not look like a feature update to your clients and a press release and a blog. You want to come out big and use video at a high level to catch people's attention and pull them into what you're trying to sell.
So I have a question for you, Chris. So in your experience, so let's just say you have two brands. One does the, pretty high production, especially for that top of funnel awareness brand overview video. And then you have another one that, maybe it's a little lower production, kind of pieced together, right? We kind of all know we've all tried to do various things. What do you think the perception of the prospect is when they're looking at those videos side by side, and how do they process that?
Well, I think if you keep the brand in mind, right? So know who you are and make sure that whatever content you're doing on the lower production side still fits your brand. If you're super buttoned up and, your sense of humor doesn't come out in your brand videos, you can certainly open that up a little bit in more of the casual content, but you don't want to go too far. We had a client that had a product manager that thought he was a comedian, wanted to be a comedian, and their content in the middle of the funnel did not match who they were as a company. And that person kind of just ran down their own tangent. So I think it's less about cost. I think it's more about, am I communicating effectively? And am I in alignment with the brand? And can we have a little more fun in these more casual things? Podcast formats are a big thing in middle of the funnel and lower funnel. So those are really lower cost options to create a lot of content cost effectively. But you want to stay between the tracks. If you're a brand that can have a little fun, like Vindy, you let your hair down a little bit in more casual situations, but you never cross the joke hour line or whatever. But I don't know if that answered your question exactly, but I think it's just a matter of staying consistent.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris is a humble guy, and Chris and I have worked together for 20 years. I feel like when I want to do a highly produced video, there's usually a couple of things that are in my mind. The first one is telling an awesome story that evokes emotion. You just can't really do that well consistently with low fidelity video. And the reason for that isn't really the cameras or the equipment or the B-roll, in my opinion. Chris, I'd love your thoughts on this, but it's the storytelling. And so the reason why I love working with Full Circle and Chris is, we can come to him with a concept and his team and say, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And we really want to, pull on some emotional, we want to really create some emotional connection with our audience. It takes people with brains that do this all day, every day, to be able to figure out how to do that in 2 minutes or less, right? It's real easy to go and try to tell a story with your phone and end up with something that's just garbage. But guys like Chris and his team are able to figure that out and know, okay, this is where we need a talking head. This is where we need the customer to come in. This is where we want some B-roll, and then the total package. And you'll see this when we get to some examples later. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we talked about it earlier, but go, invest more time and money. That's typically what it is, or more resources or energy at the top. But Chris nodded on it earlier, but as you get lower down in the funnel and you're just connecting with people and you're telling mini stories and you're, just trying to keep yourselves kind of top of mind within your prospects, you can then go lo-fi. You can then shoot stuff on your phone, or you can have conversations like this and cut it up into, social posts or just things that you can embed in emails or throughout that. But that's where it gets fun. But like so many things, if you don't start on a strong foundation, it's hard to build a house.
Yeah, absolutely. And That's a great segue into the last thing before we get to some of these examples, which is just how do we get started? And, Ryan, I think strong foundation is probably step one, right? Video content is just part of our marketing strategy, our content strategy. And we believe that, content strategies are built on 3 to 5 content pillars that answer the question, what do you want to be known for? And so without having a content strategy in place, you're not going to have a good video strategy to follow suit. What are other things we need to be thinking about? Chris, you and I talked a little bit yesterday about how even video production has changed over the last few years. What are some things people can be thinking about just in how to deal and how to build good video content for their business?
I think it's another Paulism is begin with the end goal in mind, right? What are you trying to do? Don't go on a journey based on a whim or a competitor or anything. You really want to nail down. Video is a tactic that only really gets maximized when it is integrated into a good strategy. Okay. We have a lot of clients come to us looking for tactics. And the question that we ask is, we're not trying to tell you what your strategy is. We just want to know what it is so we can make sure the video fits that. Think of it as a gear, right? And if we build a gear with not enough notches to fit into their machine, then it's not going to be effective. So we would recommend start with the strategy. And if your strategy is simple, I want more, conversion from here to here, then you go address your video strategy and you find videos that fit that. If budget is a concern, I said at the top, I think every business needs a brand video. But if you're really struggling and your metrics are saying people are falling out in the mid funnel and not getting to purchase, then that's where you start. And the good news there is it's the most cost-effective place to put video into your plan. So strategy first, really evaluate. Video can be sexy and cool and fun and all that stuff, especially when you talk about, budget is no option branding videos, but we haven't seen too many of those lately, by the way. But I really think that it's a matter of, you need video, where do you implement it first? And then once you see traction, then it's easier to get buy-in from management to do more. And so I think it's just a baby step. Focus on where does it fit in your strategy? Probably is going to be in the middle of the funnel somewhere, and start attacking it there. And the tools really are limitless. We could have a whole other show on how to do inexpensive video with the tools now available to us. But really make sure that if you've got that strategy in mind, you got your brand in mind, then tell a story, even if it's educational content. You need to tell a story, and you need to have an avatar in your mind of who that video is playing for.
Yeah, that's good. How about you, Ryan?
I was going to say, I know we won't get to it today, but maybe down the road we can do a whole nother show on just AI. What's happening with AI and video, and how is it being used? What are the tools? How do you approach it? I know, Chris, you guys are playing with AI, but again, I know we've got a limited time here, but I just want to throw that in there, that if you're out there and you're trying to figure some stuff out, there are a lot of really interesting tools you can go play with and start, creating something that might work for your brand.
Yeah, another thing that I'll add there is, Chris, you're sharing with me kind of how video production has changed over time. And, you guys used to think about a video production, like I'm going to create a video to tell a story. But now you guys are, and I guess the world has shifted a little bit, but you're kind of sharing how, it's more about creating video assets that can then get redeployed over time. So it, like, one shoot isn't for one video anymore. One shoot may capture a bunch of footage that can be used to produce a whole video content strategy. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you're right. We used to get hired to shoot a specific brand video in a big, project, and it was a lot of moving pieces. It was, lots of stakeholders in some cases with clients. They could be 3 months long and big productions. What we've seen is people want to take that same budget or less and get high production value assets that will stretch across their content calendar and all the needs they have on their website and in their buyer journey. So that's what we've adapted to. We now go out and we'll say, we'll get you a brand video, but while we're there, we're going to be mindful of shooting the printing presses in that printing example, Oh, you've got a new $4 million printer being installed. We should get footage of that because that's going to be important to certain buyers. Let's find out, like, while we're on site, what are all the needs that we can address? And they'll look cool in the corporate video, but we'll have a whole separate amount of content to pull from when it comes time to promote those different things. So we spend quite a bit of time talking about a wide variety of questions when we have an executive or an employee sit down for us, or even a customer, because we know that content can be stretched across an entire calendar year or more.
It's almost like creating a all-you-can-eat video buffet. And so it's like, I need to make a new video. And so you've got all your little assets out there. It's like, I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and mash this up. And now I've got a new video. So it's really about laying down good quality assets. So that's pretty cool.
It is. In another way is, we can spend a day on site and create a video. We can spend 2. We had a B2B client recently that we convinced, look, we're not coming back up here for a while. Let's stay one more day while we're here and get you an entire stock footage library of your business. So there's stock footage you can buy that we all know what that looks like, but we actually built a stock footage library for this B2B logistics company, and they were able to, well, they're still using it. We're getting to year 3 now where you're recutting some of the same content we shot 3 years ago for their trade shows. So
yeah, you know what? We're starting to run out of time, and I think people would love to see some of the good work that you've done. So I'm going to actually share my screen, and Ryan or Lauren, if you've got anything you want to add, feel free to do so. But I just got the ding that says we're 10 minutes to go, and I want to make sure we get a little eye candy for everybody to take a look at before the day is over. So anything you want to add, Lauren or Ryan?
Seeing is believing.
Okay, so Chris, you talked about this company a couple of times. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm hoping you guys can see this.
Yep. So this is a situation where we literally went in with a huge roadmap of content needs. This is the hype reel. And again, is this cool or what? And we actually updated that. That's a brand new hire. That executive just joined. So we updated the sizzle reel. So we have 3 versions of the sizzle reel now that we keep updating and refreshing based on the changes of the company. But this is a good example of spending a couple days on site for a client and delivering a lot of different assets. And so we used everything. We used all the tricks in the book. Drone shots, that's a drone shot. We put cameras on forklifts. Ryan, you've done that trick before. Just all kinds of cool technology where we would tell this, I don't know, some people would consider the printing business boring, but we told story of people and processes in a way that was energetic and cut through the clutter. And this is a company that's, smallish when it comes to the industry that they attack, which is the direct mail advertising industry. Yet they look bigger than some of the bigger players in the marketplace with a video like this. So that's our goal. We want you to, whether you use us or anybody else, it's a lot of time and energy, but it's a lot of time and energy you put into a product or production. And, we try to get the most out of it. We liken it to the buffalo. We want to use every part of that buffalo while we're out there. And to kind of go back to your original question, we don't approach video the same way anymore at all, because we're trying to make sure that every dollar you spend on content has an ROI to it. And back in the day, a lot of these big productions were executive and founder vanity projects that did a good job, but they were 6 and 8 minutes long. Now we take all that content and we create you a 90-second to 2-minute overview video, and then you've got a ton of content you can leverage the rest of your content calendar year.
And that video we just looked at, Chris, that was the one that you guys shot and then were able to go and do some promotion and marketing around that really helped them grow their business, right?
Well, that is actually a LinkedIn ad. So that's running right now. And it doesn't have a strong call to action. Paul, there's a lot of things that we could probably do to make that conversion rate better, but they're targeting people that in their marketplace, I think it's 1,800 prospects that have the budget to buy this type of service, right? And their competitive landscape is geographic because it costs a lot of money to ship printed goods. So, there's a middle of the country, there's a right side of the country and a left side of the country. And they're really buttoning up the middle part of the country and starting to chip away at the East and the West because they have a great customer service story. And that's a story we told through two different lenses: the founder, that's their belief system, and then through customer testimonies. So it's just, we picked those things that told the best story and set them apart.
Well, and I think this is a real testament to what we were talking about earlier about how, it's about getting the story out there. And sometimes, companies need to work with companies like yours to get that figured out in a short video. And, I think you did a great job on that one. Hey, we've got about 3 minutes left, Chris. Is there a video in particular that you'd like us to show that might be helpful to the audience?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about top of funnel and going crazy. We had a client that did a B2B product launch that was a tough sell as a piece of hardware that went into an equipment rack. Did not look very sexy, but it had a cool name, had a name called V6. That was their V6 product. And it's a telecom product. And it's the DZS video there, Paul, if it's on your list, DZS V6. We created this whole story around the V6, and we and our creative team got together and said, this new product goes fast. So what are the best uses of V6 in the world? And it happened to be F1 racing. So we created an entire concept. And I'll stop talking for the 60 seconds here.
You can't go wrong with Ozzy Osbourne. Can y'all hear that?
For short on time, I'll talk over it a little bit. The concept is they wanted to show last mile fiber getting to rural America all the way across the globe. They're headquartered in Seoul, Korea. So this is the streets of Seoul. And the purple lines, kind of illustrate connectivity and then across the globe. So we use the F1 car to kind of get us there and be the vehicle, no pun intended, to tell their story. And this really was amazing. And then, the client liked the 3D renderings of the product that our animators did so much that they included that design in the final shipping product. So it was a cool story. It was launched at a big, giant industry trade show. So it made the CEO look really good. The SVP of sales was mad that he stole his thunder with the video, but they liked it so much they played it twice at that venue, which was kind of a compliment for a video producer.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we learned a lot about video. I think the key takeaways here are video has a place to live, top, middle, bottom of the funnel. There's a time and a place for high production quality, and there's a time and a place to pull out our phones and just shoot some content or shoot content like we did today as a webinar. And so just think about your content strategy and where video can play a role. And if you want to get a hold of Chris, his information is in our agenda. And we look forward to seeing you guys next month. We've got a great guest on store for us next month, Jen Allen Knuth. She's a great sales coach that works with B2B, and she's going to help us break down the barriers between sales and marketing alignment. And so if you're really curious from the sales perspective, sales side of the house, what's it going to take to really get sales and marketing to finally work together? You don't want to miss next month's episode. It's a little bit later in April than normal. We try to do these in the middle of the month, but Jen is such a high demand speaker that we had to move around a little bit to accommodate her calendar. So that information's in the agenda. Chris, thank you again. Everybody, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next month. Take care, everybody.